First, we'll define what strengths are. Strengths are where talent meets knowledge meets your skills. And what I mean by that is we have the ability to know things, and then we have the ability to do things that we know. So knowledge, being able to do something. But then we also have the natural ability, the natural proclivity for certain things like communication, or being able to get things done, or having a lot of ability to structure and routine things. When you find an area of your life where you can combine all of those things together, you've got the capability to build a strength. Strengths-based leader. When talking about what a strengths-based leader looks like, it all goes back to how much that leader knows about themselves. So it all starts with this concept of self-awareness. So if you're able to look in the mirror and say, these are the things that I'm really good at, and this goes back to that knowledge, skills, talent thing. If I know those talents, if I know the things that I'm naturally skilled at, and then I add that on to things that I study and that I know more about, and then add that on to the things that I practice a lot. And those are the skills. So if you take all those things, if you know all of those things, put them all together, that's where the beginning of a strength-based leader comes in. So it all starts with this idea and this ability to look in the mirror and say, I've got a good idea of who I am as a person, as a leader. And so it all starts there. And I would say, and this has kind of been, I guess, proven through Gallup studies and what they've done, but across the board, they've done studies of all the best leaders in the world. And when they started doing these tests and these assessments and interviews, they thought they would find similar characteristics, that all leaders would be good, whatever we think of good leaders. We think, oh, good leaders have vision. Good leaders are futuristic. Or good leaders are good speakers, and they're good communicators. Turns out this isn't the case. The best leaders in the world, what they always have in common is that they know themselves. They know their strengths. They focus on just doing those strengths in their jobs, and that's what they do all the time. And they've figured out ways to manage around their weaknesses. But the majority of their time is spent focusing on what they do well. If you're interested in learning what your strengths are, or what are the areas for potential strength building in your life, the Gallup organization is the place I would go to, and they've released 3 different books over the course of the last decade. The first one was called Now Discover Your Strengths. The second one, they did an updated version of the assessment in that first one. That's called StrengthsFinder 2.0, and that's the one you'll see in bookstores around the country now. It's a little red and white book by a guy named Tom Rath. And StrengthsFinder 2.0, that's a good one. The one they just released last year is more for a leadership context, what we're talking about here. That's called Strengths-Based Leadership. And that one is really fantastic. Same assessment process as StrengthsFinder 2.0. But the book goes into a lot more detail in terms of how to apply a strengths-based mentality within an organizational setting and within a team setting, which I think is really valuable. And that was, again, called Strengths-Based Leadership. That's great. Some people think that this is like the newest flavor of the month fad in terms of managing people. I do not think this is the case. In my mind, the way that people are approaching organizational life is actually changing. And we're expecting a lot more as employees from the leadership of our organizations than we used to. And this is where we get things like this concept of work-life balance and that kind of thing. That didn't always used to be the case in a more industrial kind of, in the Industrial Revolution economy. That just wasn't a term that was even used. But now you see all of these things where we're starting to recognize that people are more than just machines. And I guess there's a famous quote by one of your brethren, Henry Ford, who once said, "Why is it that I always get the whole person when all I want is a pair of hands?" And we've come a long way since those days. We've learned that people are more than just their hands, and so we take that understanding of the whole person, and I think that a knowledge of strengths and helping our people in our companies do what they're best at, that helps them do their jobs better, which helps our companies be better. And so if we can understand the whole person, if we can understand that talent and strength is such a big part in engaging our employees in their jobs, to me that's the future of business, and it's not some kind of fad or flavor of the month that's just going to go away. So I really think that this is a core principle that's going to be embedded in the future of organizational life. So if a person is in a organization that's deliberately and passionately strengths based, I think the result of that kind of attention is going to be, well, I think in the long term, I think this is in a sense what businesses are going to have to be competitive in the new economy. I really think it's almost a necessity. What business has been about for the past 100 years, I really think is not going to work for the next 100. And so adopting this idea of how can we leverage our understanding of what our people do well to liberate them to do more of that. If we can get our people to do more of what they do well, we all do better for it. So first of all, I guess that I'm not sure organizations. I think this is the direction organizations need to go if they want to remain competitive. In terms of the environment that a strengths-based mentality builds in a company, it's really kind of amazing, because you see people start to come alive, and this is why I do what I do, and this is why I get excited about this topic, is because I figure we spend more time as a typical American. We spend more time in an organization of some kind than we do anywhere else, than with our families, than on trips, on vacations. We spend more time at work than anywhere else. So why I get excited about this mentality is I think it makes work a better place to come to. When you know that you can go into a job where you get to do what you do best every single day, where you've got people that are passionate about helping you succeed in doing that, I think that's what makes the world a little bit better place. And I know that's kind of a big, grand goal, but I think that this is a good place to start in trying to reach that goal.